Hello everyone! Welcome to another episode of Reading ZADR Fanfiction. Today is the finale of Friends by Clothebrotato, and I'm pretty excited, I must say. I believe all my technology problems are settled, they're done, they're through, and I think we're just gonna have a nice finale. I don't know words to say anymore. I'm actually pretty excited. In the last episode, let's see. Oh right. Dib and Zim escaped Keith, luckily. Mostly unscathed. And then they went back to Dib's place and drank a bit, and then, proceeded to engage in sexual relations with the other one. And then they were not secretive about it as much as they would have been, and they kind of got caught the next morning by Mr. Membrane and Gaz, who kind of was like, hey, shut up next time. And then Membrane was like, so what the heck was this alien costume? And then he finally went to Zim's lair, where the tallest were and all of his alien tech, and Mr. Membrane was like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, this is real. And then he called Dib and Zim boyfriends to their face, which, to his defense, come on, So, that's where we're at. We are currently on chapter 13, and let's get into it. We never made it official. Zim grabs Dib's hand. Do you want to? Dib asks. Zim blushes and nods. Sure. Zim's antenna brushed against Dib. Dib shivers a bit at the touch. So where do you want to eat? Dib asks. Ugh, I don't want your gross human food. Zim steps away from Dib. Well, too bad. Dib grabs Zim's hand and pulls him closer to him. Let's go to Bloaty's. They have games so that we can play together. Zim pouts for a bit but gives in. They walk over to Bloaty's, which wasn't too far, and get a table. Here are your tokens, the pizza will come out whenever, the waiter says as she throws 2 cups of tokens onto the table. So our first date is at a gross smelly arcade, Zim says, poking at the token cup. It's not our first. It was when we went to the movies. Dib rolls his eyes and pours the tokens onto the table. Well, holding your hand the entire time was nice. Dib blushes. Dib reaches out and takes Zim's hand. They stare at each other for a moment before a tray of pizza was thrown onto the table. Dib takes a slice and puts it on the paper plate they provide. He takes a bite. So, what game do you want to play first? Zim asks, poking at the pizza. Definitely skee-ball. We can exploit it for a lot of tickets, Dib replies, pointing at the skee-ball machine. How about that? Zim points at the Crossy Road arcade machine. That game is rigged, Dib says, finishing his pizza. Did you forget that I'm an alien and I can easily hack into the system and force me to win? Zim smirks. Dib grabs his tokens. Well, let's do that first, then we can get a lot of tickets in the original way. Dib walks over to the game. Zim uses his pack to get to the system. He presses the button to move a few more times, and the machine starts to play itself. After about 5 minutes of watching the gameplay, Zim interrupts and forces it to lose. 10,000 tickets! Plus a jackpot of 5,000 on just 4 tokens, Dib laughs and hugs Zim. I can't believe I wanted to dissect you. Now let's try your inferior way. Zim pulls Dib back and they walk over to skee ball. Here's what you do. As fast as you can, put these balls in the 100. Sit up here and I'll hand them to you. Dib puts his tokens in and the game starts. As fast as they can, they rack up a lot of points. 10,000 tickets? Weak. Zim says, tossing the ball at Dib. He dodges it and picks Zim up like a little kid. Sorry, I'm not as cool as you, Dib sighs, shaking Zim. Don't hold me like an earth pet. Zim kicks at Dib to let him go. Aw, look at you, my little earth pet, Dib teases. Zim blushes and uses his pack to escape. Let's just go to a different game. Zim scans the arcade for something better to do when he sees a plush machine full of alien toys. That! They walk over to it. Dib stretches and laughs. I'm the best at these. I'll win you one, he says cockily. He puts in the right amount of tokens and lines up the claw with the green alien. He lowers it and the claw latches onto the toy. We should get all of them, Zim laughs. What? No. We don't have enough tokens. Dib shows him his cup. He had about 6 left. Fine. But get at least 2. 1 for each of us. Dib hands Zim the first alien, and after 2 tries, gets another. So altogether, we have 10 tokens. Dib counts them. Let's do the crossroads 2 more times. Then we can do the ball thing once, Zim suggests. But Dib looks over at the booth, which was 5 tokens. Or we can get photos with each other. Dib motions towards the machine. He walks over to it and opens the curtain for Zim to walk in. Why pay for that when we can just take pictures whenever? Zim crawls inside. But this is cooler. Dib puts in the tokens. And we can add wacky effects. Why'd you say it like that? Zim asks. I was trying to be funny. Dib replies, embarrassed. Anyways, it's about to start. Pose and do stupid stuff with me. Zim grabs Dib's face and pulls him into a kiss. He pulls back and does another pose. Dib stays still for a second before joining him on the pose. After taking the photos, they add silly effects to it. That was stupid, Zim rolls his eyes. The 2 printed photos fall out of the slot at the bottom of the machine. Dib picks them up and hands Zim one. He smiles and runs his fingers over the photo. Well, maybe it isn't as stupid. See, now let's go 1,000 tokens on Crossy Road. Dib picks up Zim, bridal style, and carries him over to the machines. Don't carry me, Zim laughs. Chapter 14. Dib and Zim returned to Dib's house at around 9 p.m. They ended up spending 2 hours on Crossy Road machine and caused the machine to run out of tickets. They did that to 3 other machines. They got enough tickets to get a Nintendo Switch for half their total amount. They used the rest on candy and dumb toys. I'm back, Dib shouts. He doesn't get a response. Me and Zim are gonna be in my room. I'm leaving, Gas yells back, leaving her room. Where are you going? Dib asks. Anywhere. I don't want to hear you 2 fucking all night. She walks out, not noticing the Nintendo Switch Zim was holding. Dib blushes. We're not. He covers his face. Zim rolls his eyes. Anyway, she's gonna miss out on our Smash game, Zim says, handing Dib the packaging. After striking to set it up and a few hours of gameplay, Dib laid back on his bed. Zim leans onto Dib's chest. He wanted to listen to Dib's heartbeat. Something about it made him feel warm. Dib pulls Zim closer to him, and Zim nuzzles into his arm. Are you vibrating? Dib asks. Zim sits up. No! Dib blushes. Wait, you were purring! Dib laughs. No, I wasn't, Zim blushes. Dib laughs and pulls Zim into a kiss. They kiss for a moment before they're interrupted by a knock on the door. Dib opens it up and his dad is standing there. Oh good, you're not busy. He walks in. Actually, Dad, I am busy. Also, it's almost 2 a.m. Why are you up? Science! I believe this is a good time for some tests. Membrane takes out a clipboard and a pen. No, it's too early. We need sleep. Dib goes to close the door. Night, Dad. Your dad thing is insane. Zim lays down on his back. Dib lays down next to him, exhausted. He's going to do the same thing in the morning, Dib sighs. He takes off his shirt and tosses it to the ground. Let's just try to get some sleep. Okay. Zim awkwardly lays down next to Dib. Zim takes off his pants so he's dressed in his underwear and a shirt. Dib somehow fell asleep pretty fast. Zim waited till Dib was completely out before he crawled out of bed. He didn't feel like sleeping that night. He opens the door and walks downstairs to raid the kitchen. He grabs a pack of gummy snacks and sits on the floor to eat them in the dark. The light turns on and Membrane looks down at Zim. Zim freezes for a second before he shoves the wrapper in his mouth and scurries like a little cockroach. "Oh, hello, Zim." Membrane walks over to Zim, who spat out the empty packaging and made himself look normal. "Hello, Dib's dad thing," Zim replies. He looks down at his feet, starting to feel a little exposed without his pants. "Do you need anything?" "Want to help me with some experiments?" Membrane asks. If it's an experiment on me, I'm going to refuse." Zim shivers at the thought. "Oh, well, sorry for interrupting your snack. You have ice cream in the freezer. You can have that if you want." Membrane walks out of the room. Zim decides just to watch TV until Dib's awake. Chapter 15. These are quite small chapters, but I felt that. The chapters get smaller closer to the ending. Zim. Dib groans from the couch. They've been dating for a few years now. They've even moved into a house together. The tallest took over Zim's base and grr. "What is it, Bid?" Zim replies from the other room. 1, don't call me Bid. 2, we should hang out at, I don't know, this super fancy restaurant. Dib rushes the last part. Zim pops into the living room. "I don't want to go to a place where you eat gross food around strangers." Zim shakes his head. "That's why I ordered a private room. It's just gonna be us and some food." Dib stretches his body out. "Ugh, fine. I'm not gonna eat anything though." Zim shivers at the thought of a fancy restaurant food. "Alright, let's go. The reservation's in 30 minutes. Dib shoots up and quickly changes into fancier clothes. Zim does the same. The pair load into the Voot, which they crudely disguised as a car, and start to drive. Once they arrived, they are brought to the private room. Some people stare at them, but no one was able to watch when the door was slammed closed. "This is stupid." Zim rests his hand on his head. "Oh, come on. They got breadsticks and garlic bread." Dib pokes Zim's face with a breadstick. Zim lets out a small laugh and snatches it. "This is all I'm having." He takes a bite. It was a really good breadstick. They ordered, well, more like Dib ordered, and they waited for the food to arrive. Dib started to shake a bit. Zim clearly noticed. Dib almost spilled the water he was drinking because of it. "Why are you shaking? Did the garlic bread poison you?" Zim leans in close to Dib. "No, I'm not shaking. I'm just exercising." Dib lies poorly. "I don't buy it. What are you planning?" Zim smirks. Okay, fine." Dib pulls out a ring pop package and gets down on one knee. "No fucking way," Zim mumbles. "Will you be my ancient alien?" Dib asks, taking the ring pop out of the package. "You were nervous about proposing to somebody who only tolerates you out of everyone in the entire universe?" Zim laughs. Dib blushes. "And you even made a lemon demon reference. Is that a no?" Dib sulks. Zim thinks for a bit. "I'm only accepting for the ring pop." Zim grabs it and smiles. Dib giggles and hugs Zim. "Ah! Gah! I can't wait to tell Gads, and maybe Dad." Dib lifts Zim up. Zim growls a bit. "Put me down!" He kicks his legs. Zim sets him down. He's crying like a little baby. "Get your gross human tears on me and I'm shooting you into the sun." Dib wipes his eyes and apologizes. They sit back down and their food arrives. They quickly eat their food and Zim shoves tons of breadsticks into his pack. They rush to Dib's old house. Dib knocks on the door and Gaz opens it. She looks annoyed and very tired. "I thought you moved out," she grumbles as they came inside. "We have some big news." Dib tried to hide his giddy smile. She rolls her eyes. Dad, Dib's here, she yells. There's some clanking from Membrane's bedroom. The door swings open and he and Clembrain walk out. Sorry, we were doing an experiment, Membrane explains. They all stare at them, a little disgusted. We tried to make pudding with dust. Clembrain hands them all a bowl of pudding that has clumps of dirt in it. God, please stop talking about your sex life, Gaz groans. Membrane tries to explain that they weren't, but she covers his mouth. Anyways, Dib grabs Zim and holds him up. I'm getting married to this stupid thing. You could have just called. Gaz walks away, probably back to her game. Membrane picks Dib up into a hug. Oh, this is so exciting. I promise this will be the biggest and greatest wedding. He sets Dib down. We have to start planning right away. We can't waste time. No, we're going home so I can stuff my face full of breadsticks. Wedding planning starts when I have none left. Zim grabs Dib with his packed legs and drags him out the door. The car ride was silent on the way back, mostly because Zim was eating, but also because Dib was writing loads of shit in his notebook, probably wedding plans. A ring pop. Zim smirks. Dib blushes. Well, I knew you liked candy and the ring hole would fit your finger. And Dib gets cut off by Zim shoving the candy in his mouth. You spent ring money on something else, didn't you? Zim takes the candy out. Yes, but it was something for you, for both of us. Your tallest won't give it to me unless I give him snacks, Dib explains. Zim stares at him confused. Dib probably did something stupid. It's inside. I hid it from you. I would have given it to you after our wedding day, but knowing you, you'd find it. They arrived home and Dib hops out. He goes into the room to grab whatever he spent all of his money on. He arrives back. It's a huge object with a blanket over it. Behold! Dib removes the cover. Chapter 16. Behold! Dib removes the cover. Underneath the blanket looks like those cloning chambers. Maybe 'cause it is. What the fuck? Zim walks up to it. Well, I kinda want kids. Dib blushes. And you don't have any baby parts? You mean a uterus? Zim asks. Is that what it's called on Urk too? Dib asks. Zim turns away. I don't understand how this would work. Zim pokes at the glass. We can get my dad to help since he did this with me. But basically we put both of our DNA in and some weird mutation shit happens and 9 months later the baby pops out. Kinda like real life, Dib explains. Zim nods. Alright, let's get started. Zim turns on his heel and walks away. Tomorrow. I'm tired. Erkin still needs sleep. Dib rolls his eyes and follows him to the bedroom. Zim, we're gonna be late to our own wedding! Dib shouts to Zim from the car. Zim was inside trying to find the best way to sneak the cloning machine into the wedding. Their kid was still a cluster of cells, but Zim wanted to show off his mighty baby Erkin. Dib, come over here and help me, Zim demands. Dib rolls his eyes and gets out of the car. He helps Zim shove it into the boots and they take off. They land and get out of the car. Zim is almost immediately dragged away by the bridesmaids to get him dressed up. Dib looks at the cloning machine. He takes it out and throws a tablecloth over it. Totally not suspicious. There's my son. Membrane walks over to Dib and gives him a hug. He notices the covered cloning machine. He tries to look under the cloth, but Dib slaps his hand away. It's a surprise for later. Anyway, Zim wants to show them, it off. Dib nervously pats his dad's shoulder. Okay. Well, we'll take this inside and somewhere safe. And you should get ready. Membrane picks up the machine. Oh, this is surprisingly heavy, but nothing I can't handle. He flashes his robotic arms and walks inside. Dib follows him to make sure he doesn't peek. Membrane puts it on the counter in the changing room and lets out a sigh. Oh, how can something the size of a microwave be so incredibly heavy? Membrane asks. Not telling. Dib peeks under the cloth to make sure his kid is okay. They're fine. Dib takes a deep breath. He's nervous about today. He doesn't want to slip up and trip or stumble over his words in front of everyone. Membrane pats Dib on the back. Don't be nervous. We have about an hour till the wedding starts. People will be coming in soon. I'm gonna help out and you can stay here and get ready. Membrane steps outside the room. Dib rubs his eyes and sits down. He takes the cover off the machine and stares at his kid. He feels calm looking at them. Zim grumpily sits in his chair as the bridesmaids talk and put on makeup. One of Zim's classmates, Gretchen, leans close to him. Zim, do you think you and Dib will adopt kids? 'Cause, you know. She taps his fingers together. She then covers her mouth. Wait, you're an alien. You have different anatomy, so you can probably have kids, right? Urkins reproduce by mixing DNA in a test tube and shoving that into an incubator. 4 months later, a Smeet is born and is given a pack and a shock of life, Zim explains. Everyone nods, not understanding a single word he says. So are you gonna have a kid? Gretchen asks again. I'll answer that later, Zim smirks. Another bridesmaid bursts into the room. We only have 10 minutes before the ceremony, she says, panting. All the girls quickly put on makeup and finish dressing. Zim stands up and starts reaching towards the ceiling. He wants to look taller for the ceremony. Everyone starts peeling out. Zim watches Dib nervously walk out and stand at the edge of the church. Which really wasn't a church, it was an abandoned mansion that they made pretty. The audience stands as Zim walks out. His big suit dress flows behind him. He locks eyes with Dib. Dib's expression changes from nervous to calm in an instant. Zim stops halfway through and rips off his disguise. Some humans gasp, probably because they thought he was a normal human. Idiots. Stupid contacts. He hands them over to one of Dib's cousins, who shakily takes them. He walks over to Dib, who was holding in laughter. The ceremony went on, and on, and on, until Zim had enough and told the priest to shove a fizzle pop in his speak hole and get us hitched. The rings, please. The priest is handed the rings and gives one to Zim and Dib. Zim slides the ring on Dib's finger, and Dib does the same with Zim. You may kiss the alien, the priest says. They happily kiss. It was long and sweet. The crowd cheered as they pulled back. Time for the reception. So, that, for the most part, is a wrap on Friends. Technically, I suppose there's supposed to be another chapter, one last chapter for the reception. However, this hasn't been updated in like over a year, so that might not happen. But I honestly feel like this is a good fanfiction ending. You can't end a fanfiction on a higher note than the I do's. Unless it's like another time skip into the future where they have like 4 kids and like the American Dream kind of thing. Unless it's that, really you can't, because I personally think that right there is the perfect ending. And it's, you know, I guess I have a soft spot for wedding-ended fanfictions. So, that puts a wrap, I think I already said that, on Friends by Clothebrotato. If you have any other fanfiction recommendations, give them to me. I would gladly take them all. This was super fun, and I was honestly just really excited to start recording this episode, and you know, like just putting the bow on top and finishing it, mwah, kind of thing, you know what I mean? And I'm really happy my best friend was able to be there in the middle of it to, you know, help us out, help me out. That was super fun. I did like this fanfiction a lot. I think it was super sweet. And yeah, I might go and find another fanfiction to do. To read, I should say. But if you have anything you want me to read, I will gladly read it, as long as it has a nice ending. You think I would look into this? I just don't want any spoilers. I like to read as I go for you guys, so that way my reaction is y'all's reaction at the same time, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, history repeats itself. I should probably like look out for that kind of stuff more. Anyways, yeah, I guess that was a quite a heartwarming ending with a nice, you know, their kid happening or something, and the wedding, and so yeah. I'm honestly surprised Keith didn't like barge in there in the middle of it, but I guess like King Sword hit him out. They were like, yo, we're gonna beat your ass again if you ever try nothing, you know what I'm saying? Anywho, so if you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed this series, if you enjoyed the ending, give this video a big like. Don't forget to drink water and love yourselves, because I love you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!